Well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us this evening. This is really going to be a train the trainer version of JCI Discover, because most of you, if not all of you, are already certified in JCI Discover by being certified in Impact and Achieve. But given that this is a new course and it kind of has a different philosophy than some of the courses that you have been familiar with, we thought that it was important to kind of hold this session and go through some of the thought process and why the activities or slides are done the way that they are. So the first thing I want to say is that this course was designed for members within their first year. So this is designed for brand new JCI members. And in fact, one of the ways in which we thought you could leverage it is to be used as a new member orientation in local organizations. It's really supposed to show participants all the offerings that JCI has and how the organization can be used to develop the individual. This is the first course in a 3-course series that goes along the journey of the JCI leader, is what they're calling it now. So as the steps are labeled Discover, Explore, and Adventure, the 3 courses are called Discover, Explore, and Adventure, and they are supposed to lead the participants through the organization. So JCI Discover is to learn about the organization. JCI Explore will be a course that's really about, okay, you've been a member for over a year. How do you become a leader both on a project level or within your local organization? And is really more focused on the leading within the organization. And then finally, the JCI Adventure course is targeted at how to take the skills that you learned within the organization and take them outside to become a leader in the world at large. So that's sort of the philosophy behind it. Now, this course was originally designed before the pandemic. And one of the goals of the Skills Development Committee this year was to start looking at the possibility of holding online courses. Well, our hand was a little bit pushed. And as you are all aware, we transitioned to doing online courses. But this one was the first one that was designed to be flexible so that the engagement activities were lower or done in a way in which you could use online technology to do. Like the course was designed simply for that, or to be conducted via webinar. But it was also, remember, the activities draw the focus on the participants' experience in general and not really on their JCI experience, because the idea is that they don't have that much JCI experience. So you'll see that sort of reflected through the course. Okay, so that's the background. That's my caveats as we go through. Now, I will say also, if any of you have ever participated in a training that I've done, I don't mind if you interrupt and ask questions during. So feel free to, if you have a question, unmute yourself, stop me, ask when you have it, because I don't want you to feel like you're not getting the information necessary to do this course successfully. So we'll go through the slides and I can show you what each slide is supposed to represent basically. So of course, your cover slide for JCI Discover, where you welcome your participants. And then we cover the objectives of the course. Now, best practices tell us that whenever we're training adults, outlining what the objectives of the course are sets expectations. And that way your participants will keep more engaged because they know what to expect. So that's why the objective slide is early. If you would like participation or engagement starting right away and to set those types of guidelines for your participants, you can ask them to read each objective out loud, like take, volunteers, one to read the first one, then the second, then the third. It's really up to you as a trainer or facilitator how you want to manage this slide. But obviously, these are the 3 objectives of the course, and they align with the modules within the course as well. So the next thing is to really try to set the stage for what the course is about. So you'll see for anybody who has taken Achieve that this is you've seen this slide before, that there are 3 types of people: those who make things happen, watch things happen, or wonder what happened, and that we want our members to be those in the first group. The key part here is that the trainer facilitator then asks, but how? How do we make those things happen? How do we, know what things need to be changed? And it really becomes the lead into the next section, which is a discussion of the values, right? And so here's a definition of what values are. This provides a little bit of background for the introduction slide, where you ask each participant to give their name and their most important value, and then tie that to how it benefits society. Now, you will want to take notes of what the participants say their values are. In an in-person course, this would be a great place to record it on a flip chart. You can also use a whiteboard function or something else that participants can see. As always, you can modify this as well. If you're doing this at an area conference and you have participants from all over, you may want to ask them where they're from as well. But if they're all from the same local organization, not as important of a question, so we kind of leave that up to you to decide how you want to do introductions. So the next thing is we cover the JCI Creed. Now, the important part here is to make sure that you tell the participants that this set of phrases is meant to be interpreted by the participants within their own knowledge-based frame of reference, right? Faith does not mean a specific faith. It means what things that the participant believes. And within the participant manual, there is a breakdown of William Brownfield's interpretation of the creed when he wrote it. And so you can direct your participants to look at that. The reason why the creed is in here is because it is commonly referred to as the value statements that JCI members abide by. So not covering it really doesn't, it was thought that it was important for new participants to at least be exposed to what the JCI Creed is, and because it's referenced throughout their time within the organization. So that is the sort of introduction module that gives the framework that we're going to be talking about values within the organization in general. So then we go into module 1 or section 1, which is really understanding JCI's purpose. So the creed kind of becomes the segue from values in general to JCI values, and now we're going to, in the module, really sort of discover and explore what those are. So we say that JCI is about making change. It's about providing development opportunities, empowering young leaders, and creating sustainable solutions. This module really focuses on the why of JCI and then goes into the active citizens framework as the background. So its goal is to put the organization in context. So then there's the Golden Circle video here, and I'll show it real quick.
What makes some companies more successful than others? It's the way they think and communicate. Most companies start their story with telling you what they sell. Some will also tell you how their product is different. And then nothing. Successful companies flip it around. They first tell you why they sell something, because they believe in healthy living. Then how? By handpicking the most nutritious foods. Only then do they tell you what they sell. Fancy a bite? From why to how to what. That is Simon Sinek's Golden Circle. The effects? Companies using the Golden Circle sell more products for a higher price, and people like to work for them. Why it works? Our brain is like a golden circle. The outer part does language, ratio, analysis, but the inner part is the one to actually take decisions. It does not respond to language and ratio, it responds to emotions, beliefs, dreams, to why. By communicating from the inside out, you get heard right where it matters, where decisions are being made. So, about to tell your story? Then start with the heart. Start with why.
So, and then we go into, there. So then a workbook activity where they can reflect on how the Golden Circle really applies to JCI. The reason why we focus on Golden Circle is because, for one, Simon Sinek has become incredibly well-known and popular when it comes to talking about leadership in organizations. But really, it shows why values determine our actions in a way that is outside of the organization and may be familiar to a lot of participants already outside of JCI. So we reflect on why we do that, and then work with a partner. And this can be done through, right? Yeah. Can't use Apple without paying lots of money, I guess. But this activity can be done using breakout rooms. So you can pair participants off and have them discuss with a partner. So it's a simple way to have an engagement activity that can be done in person or online. So once they kind of brainstorm themselves, of course, we debrief and break it down and show sort of what we want the learning to be outside of it. So here's JCI's Golden Circle. The why is that young people play a significant role in addressing the challenges that we face in the world. That's why we exist. And so the way that we address that is we provide development opportunities that empower young people to create positive change. And then we provide those development opportunities through the targeted and sustainable solutions that we perform, basically, using the active citizens framework, right? So that's how the values discussion from the introduction and stuff really ties into JCI, is that we talk about the value is that there's challenges that only young people can solve. Then we empower young people to become leaders to address those challenges. And we do that through the projects and activities that we perform using our special methodology of the active citizens framework. So, and then there's some steps here, which then gets us into the active citizens framework, right? You'll notice that some of the language here is a little bit different than you've seen in the active citizen framework before, and that was rather intentional. So originally, a lot of JCI impact is focused on using the active citizens framework in context of community development. But the active citizen framework can really be utilized for individual development, for business development, for anything. I mean, if you have ever, within your experience, tried to launch a product, right? You still have to do a market analysis or needs analysis. You have to look for partnerships to help you produce said product. You have to get stakeholder support, and then you refine it, right? The process can be utilized in different ways. And so that's one thing is kind of putting it in the context of all of the activities that JCI does. So here's the Active Citizen Framework. Here is the video that you
Within JCI, we believe young people worldwide have the power to create positive change. But the question is, how? To start, we take responsibility for making our communities stronger. To be effective, we need a committed team. So throughout the process, we engage stakeholders from all sectors of society to reach mutual goals. We work with our leaders and neighbors to examine the community's greatest needs and identify their root causes. Together, we design solutions that will last, and then we take grassroots action with a clear plan. Our actions are driven by the stages of community development, which begins with ensuring citizens are healthy. By fighting disease, alleviating hunger, and providing access to clean water and sanitation, we can all reach our greatest potential. Education is the foundation of economic opportunity. By empowering citizens to learn, gain job skills, and find work, society progresses. We have a responsibility to leave a prosperous world for our children and future generations. So we must avoid environmental crisis and foster peace to sustain our communities and ultimately the world. While taking action, we measure our results and evaluate our impact so we can learn from our mistakes and prove our success. This is how young active citizens transform community challenges into opportunities for empowerment, development, and sustainable impact. This is the JCI Active Citizen Framework. This is our roadmap to change the world.
So as you can see, it kind of uses it as a roadmap. Now, if you've downloaded the slides before and looked at them, you'll notice that the next 5 slides come hidden. That's to give you as the trainer or facilitator the option or the flexibility that if you don't like the way that this video describes the Active Citizens Framework, or for whatever reason you don't want to show this video, you do have the option to go through each step of the Active Citizens Framework. Now, I would generally say you probably don't necessarily want to do both. But if, depending on your audience and the level of the participants, maybe you do, right? So that's why the slides were created in here. They're hidden so that the video is just the first one, but you have the option to do it how you want. It's especially if you want to add a little bit more in depth here for some of the stuff that maybe was in JCI Impact that you want, you can do it with this. So these are all the steps. I'm not going to go through each step of the Active Citizen Framework. I hope that all of you are pretty familiar with it right now. So, but the one thing that I did with that particular video is that later in the training, in the next couple of slides, we're going to talk about the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And so that video starts a soft introduction to them as well, of how the Active Citizen Framework kind of works within them. So then this is just sort of a summation slide that the Active Citizen Framework is a roadmap that guides members on how to create sustainable impact, that we identify challenges, develop innovative solutions, and then we evaluate our solution for how much change or impact that it creates. And it's, again, left general because then we talk about how it can be utilized in a variety of contexts, that you can use the Active Citizen Frameworks to develop your community, to develop business ideas or make businesses in your local economy better, as well as develop yourself. And then we kind of go into, and we do that using a lot of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And that this is where you can talk about how in 2015, as an organization, we adopted them. What it's really doing is it's demonstrating to new members our partnership with the UN, which is something that, you know, not every organization can say. And it's a differentiating quality that could be a value proposition to new members. Oh, wow, I'm joining something that's aligned with the UN, right? That means something. As well as you can kind of start talking about and leading into great things that the organization has done around the world in this area. But it's kind of highlights opportunities and builds excitement for what they can look forward to as a member of JCI and the organization at large. And we do that by showing the impact factor to say, like, how amazing this organization you just joined is, right?
As JCI members, we spend probably more time than most people in big international airports like this one. They're wonderful places. They're clean, they're modern, and if you're here, you just might be on the way to an exciting event like JCI World Congress. But events like this and spending times in fancy airports is only the tip of the iceberg of the JCI experience. And that's why we're bringing you the impact factor. We want to see what JCI national and local organizations are doing on the ground level to change the world through sustainable impact. We've received submissions of amazing projects you guys are doing all over the world, and our first featured project comes to us from our friends from JCI Nigeria.
JCI Nigeria is the perfect example of a national organization taking on a local problem that can yield global results. This group of dedicated, active young citizens took on the huge challenge of trash being dumped into the streets, which is not just an aesthetic problem. As trash begins to decompose, harmful chemicals and toxins begin to leak out. JCI Nigeria joined World Cleanup Day, which was led by Let's Do It, to advance the global goals for sustainable development and organize a full-scale campaign against indiscriminate refuse dumping and to implement efficient waste management. World Cleanup Day participants worked with stakeholders from all sectors of society and used Let's Do It's waste mapping app to target dumping sites, leveraging technology to differentiate from other cleanup activities and create sustainable impact. A total of 249 tons of trash was removed from streets and drainage. People now see waste as a resource to improve other sectors of the economy. And 7,143 people pledged to dispose of their waste properly.
Through this project, JCI Nigeria was able to tackle 3 sustainable development goals.
Global Goal 6, clean water and sanitation. Global Goal 7, affordable and clean energy. And Global Goal 13, climate action. The project has created developmental opportunities for government to support waste entrepreneurs, allowing them to remove waste from their community and the nation at large. Citizens are now aware that there's a large organization of youth in Nigeria who organized cleanup activities in 29 states. Thank you, JCI Nigeria. You are the impact factor.
So, as you see, that's the summation of Module 1. It's supposed to leave the participants feeling excited and really showcasing an example of how an organization was able to take the values of JCI and then turn it into from the why to the how to the what, right? So it kind of comes together. Now, there are a series of impact factor videos available on the JCI YouTube or whatever. Again, the intent is to build excitement and showcase, like, these are the amazing things the organization does. So if there is an impact factor video that you think will resonate more with your participants, or, you know, that you just happen to like better, feel free to sub that video out for a different one. Like I said, the intent is to show excitement and how an organization was able to really accomplish some of those goals. Okay? So that leads into, okay, you joined this organization, does great things, but you may be worried about how you as new member are supposed to do a huge project like this that has 3 sustainable development goals, etc., right? And the way that you do that is through participating in the organization. That leadership development is a journey, right? It's a path of development that you follow. So right here, you may ask participants how they heard about JCI, right? And what that is you're really asking them what started you on this journey of becoming a leader. So from there, you'd say, well, you know, there are 3 steps along this journey, this idea of discover, explore, and adventure. And right now, you're in the discovery phase, right? It's when members develop that global mindset, you start thinking of not just the community you live in, but in fact, the global community, and you realize that there are people out there just like you doing great things. and that you get this action-driven mindset that you can change things, that you don't have to just exist with the status quo. We have tools available. We're going to help you, right? You're still just kind of discovering all the opportunities available to you. And then the next step is that explore phase. So you're really going to develop these communication, this problem solving and leadership skills, because you're going to get the opportunity to attend more courses like this that focus on particular skill development. And you're going to actively get involved in projects, from starting out as maybe just being a volunteer to running or planning your own project. And then you'll take on leadership roles on boards and stuff, moving your way through the organization. And then finally, you've developed those skills. You're now ready to venture out. It's where you're going to really develop that advocacy and decision-making skills, continuing to build leadership development from previous phases, but it's advocacy even outside of the organization. Now you're looking, you've made your way through, and you're going to go above and beyond. And this may be where you talk about, well, that's why our membership age is 18 to 40, because you learn the skills and then you leave the organization kind of like bird leaving the nest, right? You're going to fly into the world above or whatever. People are way better at metaphors and imagery than I am. But, right, you're just kind of bringing your participants through this idea of like, we showed all this amazing stuff, but don't get scared, right? We're going to help you develop to that point, even if you don't feel that you're there yet. And the way that we do that is that you start out by saying that you want to change the world. And so you show this video.
This is Earth. You've lived here since the day you were born. It's your home. And in the face of the world's greatest challenges, you've surely thought to yourself, I wish that I could change the world. But the world is a pretty big place. What impact could you make? In order to make a lasting impact, you need resources, a framework, and a vast network of like-minded individuals who also want to change their communities and the world. The JCI movement has been creating lasting impact like this for over 100 years through a network of young, active citizens who are united on a journey to impact the world. So, what is an active citizen? An active citizen is an ordinary person with an extraordinary desire to create positive change. They are highly motivated and invested in improving their community and see challenges not as obstacles, but as opportunities. An active citizen takes responsibility by identifying local challenges, formulating targeted sustainable solutions, and taking action to create positive change. Active citizens come from all different kinds of societies and collaborate to improve the quality of life for all their fellow citizens. As communities improve, the world improves. Join the journey with us. JCI will guide you through discovery, exploration, and adventure as you gain unique skill sets through a variety of activities. You will become a bold leader, a strong communicator, a community organizer, a confident decision maker, and a provider of effective, efficient solutions. This is not a one-time charity donation or a volunteer opportunity. Your journey will create long-term impact in yourself, your community, and with JCI's global network, you can help create a sustainable impact in the world. So, yes, you can change the world, and JCI can help you do it. Be active, get involved, serve your community. Begin your journey to change the world for the better.
So again, another summation video. Basically, you show all the great things, and then people might start to worry that personally they can't do it. This is that sort of motivation. No, you can, and we're here to help you follow, by following the steps, you're going to become an active citizen, etc. And then the final is really kind of diving deep into what that leadership development may look like. So JCI Empowers You is the final module, and it starts with an engagement activity. Again, this is something that can be done in a breakout room, or it can be done in person. Give each participant a flip chart if possible. But you're going to want to, the critical part here is that you as the facilitator or trainer want to record what participant answers are, right? Because we're really breaking down what skills do you need to develop to be a leader, and what are some possible ways to develop that skills. Because what's going to happen is on the next slides, you're going to take participant answers and connect them to the opportunities that JCI provides, right? So if somebody says a good leader must be good at managing teams, you're going to talk about how you learn team development and how to get along with people through running a project or taking on a board position, maybe in your local organization, right? The key is whatever your participants brainstorm here, is connecting the dots later and showing them JCI helps you do just that, right? So this is the activity, takes a few minutes, record the answers, and then you go into leadership development. So you can talk about specific ways in which you develop leadership capacity. You take on projects or programs and you run them, and then you can go on leadership roles starting in your local organization. And did you know that there are national opportunities to sit on boards, and even international roles and committees and elections, and that this can really cause you as a person to gain those competencies through experience. And then you talk about individual development. When they talk about communication or project management or something like that, say, we have opportunities within JCI. There's skills development and training. There are courses on each one of these to give you that, foundational background on, and we're always adding more. And then we provide you a safe place to practice them through competitions, right? You learn communication skills, and then you compete and get feedback, and you learn and develop through these opportunities. But then on top of it, you also have business and entrepreneurship development. That organizations, we do networking. There are pitch competitions at area conferences. There are company visits a lot of times. We say part of the active citizens framework is engaging with partners. So even on projects, right? Use examples. What will really make this stick with participants is using examples that are going to resonate with them because they're part of your experience, right? If you can tell a story about a specific company visit that you went on, or a specific skill that you learned, it'll bring it and make it more real. Remember, narrative and storytelling is always super engaging for participants, and it builds a rapport as well when you're talking your personal experiences. But you can always add to this too, especially if there are, remember, these courses are developed for everyone in the world. So it's very hard to get super specific because it has to apply to everybody. So if you are training this in a local organization and you have specific examples from your, that area or their national organization or whatever, feel free to add it. And then, of course, we go into the global network, right? That there are opportunities for organizations to come up with a twinning agreement and really collaborate with a particular chapter from across the world. And that conferences and events are a time where we all come together and socialize, and you meet people from all over the world. You can even talk about opportunities like this, that, I'm here in Detroit, Michigan, and I'm talking to people from all over South America. We have members from Hong Kong on this call. Like, this is something that for us has become normalized, but for other people, it's not. Like, this is really neat and bizarre to them. And so if you can talk about, like, you're going to develop friendships with people from around the world, that's a value proposition too. And again, talk about your friends, talk about the relationships you've built and what it means to you. And then here we left a spot for my JCI journey. Now, this could be your personal JCI journey. Like I said, making it really personal, building that rapport, telling a story or narrative is wonderful. If you don't have what you don't think is a particularly engaging JCI story or whatever, they are currently developing videos with interviews of people talking about their JCI journey. Now, the reason why I didn't put it here is because there's a certain level of recency. If I put a video here of President Itai talking about his JCI journey, right now all of us are like, wow, you're the world president. But in 3 or 4 years, it's not going to have the same impact for new members, right? It's more important for it to be somebody that's relevant to them. So as videos get added, you can show whichever one works best, or tell your own story, right? Tell a story of a friend. It's up to you, right? But this slide was particularly left flexible so that we don't have a situation like currently JCI Presenter where it tells everybody to roll out their DVD player, right? Like we don't want to have to update this every year. And that's getting fixed, by the way, so hold on. But, use here to your best opportunity. And then it kind of comes to the summation or conclusion of the training. Discovering your path. You're really asking for audiences and participants to commit, right? This needs to be that motivational call to action. Are you passionate? Do you want to open your mind and learn and grow? Do you want to make an impact for future generations, right? The questions are worded particularly so that most people don't say no, right? You're priming them by saying to say yes, but you got to really at this point sell it on that enthusiasm and motivation. You want your audience to leave the room going, yeah, I'm ready to take on the world and solve all of its problems. This slide really depends on the trainer or facilitator getting excited because that's catching for the audience. So, really hammer home this part and then remind them, of course, with the Margaret Mead quote that everyone loves, small group, thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. It's the only thing that ever has, right? And at this point, you thank everybody for spending their time with you and, finish the presentation strong. So that, for all intents and purposes, is JCI Discover. Again, like I said, there will be more courses coming. JCI Explore, our goal is to have it to the board to review by their mid-year meeting. So in July, with it going live by World Congress. Same thing with JCI Adventures, that the board will receive it to approve it probably at World Congress, and it will go live for participants to take it at the area conferences. The idea being a member can complete all 3 foundational courses within about a calendar year. So that is the thought process here. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.